everyone and welcome to my presentation. My name is Faizan Indah Adira and today I will present an in-depth analysis of the International Monetary Fund or IMF. In this presentation, we will look at its background, objective structure, contribution, and also some critical perspective on its impact in the modern world. I would also like to thank my lecturer, Mrs. Mimin Sundari Nasution, SSMSE for this opportunity. Let's get started. Everyone, and welcome to my. Let's start with the background. The EMF was established back in 1944 during the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference in Bretton Woods, USA. At the time, world leaders wanted to design a new economic framework after the devastating Great Depression and World War II. The IMF officially began its operation on March 1, 1947, starting with only 29 member countries. Today, it has grown significantly to 190 member nations. Its main goal from the beginning has been to prevent competitive devaluation and promote a stable global economy. What does the EMF actually do? There are four core objectives and functions. First, exchange rate stability. The EMF promotes international cooperation to keep exchange rates stable and prevent economic conflict. Financial Second, financial assistance. It provides loans to member countries facing balance of payment difficulties to help stabilize their economies. Third, balanced trade growth. It helps expand international trade, which creates jobs and sustainable economic development. And fourth, technical assistance and training. The IMF offers policy advice and training to help nations manage their economics better. Now, let's look at how the IMF is organized. It has two main bodies. First, the Board of Governors. This is the highest decision-making authority. It consists of one governor from each of the 190 member countries. Usually, their finance minister or central bank governor. They meet once a year. Second, the executive board and managing director. The executive board has 24 directors who handle the day-to-day operations like lending decision and economic surveillance. They are led by the managing director who acts as the head of staff. Next, IMF contribution to global issues. The IMF also plays a major role during global crises. Here are four examples of its contribution. First, COVID-19 response. The IMF deployed over 250 billion in emergency financing to more than 85 countries to stabilize economic during the pandemic. Two, climate change financing. Uh, they created the Resilience and Sustainability Trust to help vulnerable nations face long-term challenges like climate change. Three, second, debt relief. Through the CCRT program, they provided debt relief to the world's poorest nations so they could focus their money on health and social needs. And fourth, support for developing economics. Through the PRGT, they provide low interest loans to low income countries to reduce inequality and boost growth. Now, challenges and criticism of the IMF. Despite its contribution, the IMF faces heavy criticism. There are two main concerns here. First, conditionality and austerity. When countries borrow money, the IMF often demands strict rules like cutting public spending, raising taxes, or privatizing assets. Critics argue that these measures hurt poor people, reduce social service, and can make recession recessions worse. Second, voting power imbalance. The IMF used a weighted voting system which gives rich nations, especially the US and Europe, this disproportionate amount of influence. Developing nations who need the help most have a very limited say, raising questions about national sovereignty. Sovereignty. Next, personal analysis and outlook. Based on my analysis, the IMF is very effective at preventing financial collapse, but its approach needs to change. Strict austerity measures often burden vulnerable people, so the IMF should focus more on inclusive growth. Looking ahead, the IMF must evolve to address new challenges like digital currencies and rising inequality. It also needs to reform its voting right to give developing countries a fairer voice. In short, the IMF is indispensable, but structural reform is necessary to make it fair for everyone. To conclude, the IMF remains a cornerstone of our international financial system. Despite its flaws, its role in keeping the world economy stable is undeniable. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Now I will be happy to open the floor for any question or comment you may have. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.